Hey guys, what's up? DrumQuig Podcast, episode 20. And I've got a very special guest. And I know you guys are tired of hearing me say I've got a very special guest, but I really do. Another drummer that I had the pleasure of getting to see live and get to experience, and then find out later I knew quite a bit of his work. So the one and only Neal Evans, or we're going to call you Fro for the episode. Which one do you want?
I see if you can alternate each time.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Flo, first of all, thank you so much for coming on the show. And like we were
Of
talking
course,
about,
man.
got to see you guys play in Photon right here in Dunedin, Florida, and then had no idea that you were a big part of Dopapod. So let's just jump right into it. Like, talk about those projects and everything you're doing, because I feel like you're going to say something else that I'm going to find out you're in as well.
Nice. Yeah. So, Dopapod was the bigger nation touring band that I had for around 16 years. And, the band itself had a couple different drummer lineups and this kind of thing. I'm not even the original drummer.
Mm-mm.
And so, as it goes, the ins and outs, and the good buddy Scotty Zwang, the Josh Freese of jam bands, he was in for a while, and now he's in Humphreys. And actually just the other night, I don't know if you saw, but they had Eli sit in at the Humphreys show in Philly, and Scott organized this. I'm so proud of him. He organized with the band so that when Eli came out, they jumped into a Dopapod song, like right before he sat down. And it's so wholesome. It just blew his mind. This is so great.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So it's all fam, it's so great. But so that was the longer part of the career so far, and lots of touring, lots of time in the van, time on the bandwagon, times on stage, all this. And then, and you saw me with Photon, which is a band we've had for about 7 or 8 years now. But as it is with sort of side projects or whatever you call it, the core bass player, Dan Africano, he also plays in Thievery Corporation and was in like John Brown's Body and all these other things. So between he and I, our availability was limited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, Jimmy Dunstan is the keyboard player and sort of primary songwriter, band leader. And he's great friend. We were instantly kindred spirits. I actually met him in Florida at one of the Aura festivals.
Nice.
And it was actually, this was a first for a lot. It was like the first time when we met Papadozio, and they were like setting up. So we're like, oh, we're going to watch these guys. And then I hear Jimmy playing off in the distance. I just hear this insane shredding keyboard. This sounds like Sean Lane. And I'm like, what is that? I'm going to go see what that is. And get over there, and they're just like ripping this song. And then they stop, and it's like, cool, good sound check. We'll see you in 5 minutes. Like, one of those. They're like, okay, what is this? So met him afterwards, and then we've been just in touch, trying to be in some bands together, get to play together. And finally, when I moved back to Colorado, he moved back around the same time, and he and I both joined a Colorado band called Yam for a little while. So, and actually the bass player of Rally Around the Family is the Yam guy. So, 50 musicians, 100 bands out here. But so we had our thing for a while with Yam, and then that sort of dissolved when I went back to Dopapod. And so he started writing for Photon, which is his tribute to Stephen Hawking and quantum physics and all this kind of stuff. So that's about where that started.
See, that's fantastic, because you jumped right into it. Like, getting into Photon and what it is, there's just something about Chickens in Space that is calming yet so like productive. And I say that like, have that on in the background while I'm working.
Yes.
And it just gets me getting through it. So like, how much fun is that really to play that style? Because you're still in that funk jam band kind of thing, but it has a different, I don't know, science funk. Are we going to coin that term right?
Quantum dance. It's funny because a lot of the original or the early compositions of the band have that Four on the Floor, New Deal kind of stuff. And a lot of the newer stuff is like Return of Forever, Crazy Fusion, out there, but it still has this dancey element.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about those songs is like when you play in an instrumental band, you have like a song that's a cool groove and a melody that somebody wrote, and you kind of explore how you can make a piece out of it and all this kind of stuff. And like, so for example, Dan and I also have another band called Elephant Wrecking Ball, which is drums, bass, trombone. And trombone player Scott Flynn is like the greatest musician of all time, and he was actually in like the Pretty Lights live band, and he was in the Odessa tour. So if you ever saw that, but just like the biggest EDM shit in the world. So, and he's the kind of songwriter for that, very jazzy stuff. But anyways, all this to say, you write instrumental compositions It can be just like, cool, here's a cool groove and melody I wrote. Let's see if we can make another section, solo section, whatever. You try your best to like tell a story inside of it or something else. But Jimmy starts with the story and then writes from there, and you can really hear it in the songs, and even songs that sound like, this song is called Chickens in Space Part 1. And you're like, what do you mean? And then you listen to it and you're like, okay, this sounds like chickens in a rocket getting ready to go to space. Like, and it really does. And then that middle section busts out and it's just those nice, pretty chord pads. And that's when they've gotten into the atmosphere and now they're floating around and now they're chickens floating around in space. And it's like, and it just undeniably is chickens in space. And because it's so honest and real, like, there's no faking that performance, like
No.
you can't, there's no like phoning in some other thing. It's chickens in space. Like it just is. So there's a lot of songs like that, even Mouse Hunt is about, actually, this is really funny. I thought that it was about a cat hunting a mouse. And now I found out just recently that it's actually about a mouse that's like decked with the bow and arrow and the cloak and stuff. And he's out hunting. And I'm like, okay, actually now that makes more sense with the song.
That's
so
fantastic.
now the next time I play it, it's going to be totally different.
You found out that recently? Like, that's
totally. Because we were like talking about like recording it soon in the studio, and I was explaining it to somebody, and Jimmy was next to me, and he was like, "No, that's not what that is." Like, I was like, "Wait, what?"
The moment where you get told the song you're playing is not about what you think.
It's like, sorry for the last 7 years of inaccurate performing of that song.
Yeah, I'm going to find every instance of it on the internet. Be like, hey, Flo said this, Neal said that.
This guy's telling a story about a cat. He's not doing it.
One of the things that kind of stood out in that performance was having the piccolo snare there. And we had a funny interaction afterwards because I was like, love the piccolo. And you're like, drummer? And I was like, who else would say something about a piccolo?
Flautist.
Or a really big Dragon Ball Z fan. But,
there you go.
Yeah. Why a piccolo why is that part of your set? Like, is there just the sound, or is there an element to it that really, brings it all together? Because you don't see it that often. You do,
sure,
but you really don't.
It's fun to have that there, any kind of like side snare or alternate snare, especially in dance music. We do touch into some like drum and bass and jungle stuff. And that is the basis of that music is sampled drum beats pitched up. So to sort of get that accurate feel, you need that high pitch, tight snare, to do those kind of break beats and that kind of stuff. But there's also, I've done a couple shows where I don't even really have like toms and just have other snares.
Mm-hmm.
You have like a deep fat one or whatever. Because then you think about like, if you're emulating electronic music, and a lot of electronic music production now is all about that snare sound, and so this one's got a high pitched one. This one's got a low, like, super compressed fat one, like all that kind of stuff. So if you can, it allows for throughout a set or even one song to, just provide different flavors and, totally different vibes. It's like super easy to change up the thing and just not get, not that it's boring, but it adds a whole other flavor. If you can, like, if you're doing 4 on the floor for, 30 minutes, if you can change up the snare, it does a lot for the reception of, all that dance.
Absolutely. And it does. You're absolutely right. The piccolo does give that drum and bass, like that tuning. It's just fantastic. So I had to get that out of the way because I've been wondering about it since I saw it. Like, because you don't see it too often.
Fun.
So
yeah, there's some crazy stuff. Like Johnny Rab has, I think, like even like some signature ones that he does where it's just like a maybe 8-inch tom, and then there's like half a snare wire pressed up against the bottom on the inside on the one head, which is a really cool sound because it sort of like has the snare, but it also mutes the head. So it's like super short.
Wow.
There's some other things that are just like, it looks like a practice pad, and I think it has like BBs or bearings in it. And it's just this super tight little snare sound, but it's like, it just emulates these cool electronic sounds. So you can just spice it up through the set.
I feel like thinking about it, like the electronic sets for so long were kind of like frowned upon. They were like, let's not go that way. And then you started to see companies like Pearl make the hybrids. And now, everybody's got some sort of hybrid, some sort of form where they incorporate it in. I feel like it's more widely accepted. And I think you're right. If you can make that sound with a real drum, it's going to sound 10 times better. There's no question.
you just get much more expression out of it. Even just like being able to hit the rim or the side, like you could do a solo with a paper cup, but you'd be hard pressed to make sick music out of one paper cup sample,
Oh, that's the next song title, Paper Cup Sample. Like
That's good.
yeah, I
It's
like it.
just me in that cup.
It's just you get on stage.
I forget who did it. Somebody did it, some jazz drummer, Buddy Rich or something, just him in a paper cup. And it's amazing. I'll try and find it. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, definitely. I got to look for that now. We talk about, the years of you playing with Dopapod, going back 16 years. So go back to the beginning. Like, where did drums start out for you? Because the more I talk to you, like the musical inclinations are all there, and the way you hear and see things seems to be something you've really honed in on. So it seems like it's been there for quite some time. So where did it all start?
Definitely had a musical life. My mom has encouraged my brother and I to play. I mean, she got us into piano lessons in like second grade. So piano was my first instrument. And I think I got pretty good. I think I played like a lot up until I found drums. So that was like 3-4 years of that. And, piano will teach you rhythm, harmony, all of that stuff, how to read. So it's a great fundamental place to start. Super grateful for that. I wish I still had my piano chops. Every once in a while, I'll kind of like have a flare of like, okay, I'm sitting down every other day and playing and trying to get some back. But it's if you do not use it, you lose it.
I hate that. That's true.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Like,
So yeah, and then somewhere along the line, my brother started taking drum lessons. So of course, I'm going to do what my older brother does. And also, as you get older, I'm like, oh yeah, my parents were like, oh, drop them both off for 1 hour. See ya. Like,
yeah, bye.
Yeah. But I took to that quickly, and I talk about this a lot. It's like I'm not really a jam band person, but a lot of times you meet drummers. Like no drummers started playing because of the Grateful Dead. Like you start playing because of metal and rock and the kind of like flashy, big, high energy stuff. And often the case is like you start playing in metal bands, but you're also in jazz band in high school.
Yep.
And so you ride, and I consider those two like the furthest spectrum of like, how do you call it? Like jazz is like the philosophically most challenging, intricate thing to do. Like it's so deep, you know what I mean? And then metal is like the most intricate, like technical thing, and then the stuff in between is like, not that like, how do you say it? The whole thing with jam bands is, and why there was a while that was like a bad word.
Yeah.
Is because I feel like it enabled a lot of like mediocre playing, but people were just like, but whatever, it's cool, it's good vibes. And they're hanging out with their friends and, that's what it's about for them more than anything else. And like, I'm becoming like a Fish guy. I just never had like the nostalgia and the years behind it, and I've come into it more recently because I've gained a really deep understanding of like pure improv, like free music, free jazz. And so I just have newer ears for like the improv stuff that they do. And I'm like, oh yeah, these guys have some really, really deep stuff, So that's been exciting. But
oh yeah,
all this to say, yeah, like I had thrash metal bands, we were Metallica, Pantera, all that kind of stuff, like Metallica cover band, just aggro kinds of things. And it was just so fun to play. And I would actually started playing guitar a little bit after that. So my band, I like wrote a bunch of the songs on guitar, but I can only play like riff metal guitar. Like I'm not soloing. I'm not really playing more than 2 strings at a time. Just
I can play
power chords.
5 seconds of one song and it's nothing else matters. And it's only because I just numbered the strings. I was like, all right, 5, 3, 2, 1, 5. That's all I need to do.
Yeah, so all the metal band stuff. And then when I went to Berkeley, I was getting more, I met a bunch of like fun funk dudes. This is actually where I met Dan. We had a band called Cashed Fools, which was just like we call it bluesadelic funkicide. So I was like, crazy, like Chili Peppers funk, Jimi Hendrix rock, psychedelic stuff, like dub trio, like was kind of learning about like reggae stuff then and just like deep groovy things and all that. So yeah, so you go from like all this like aggro, like I like having the ability of playing metal and punk rock and having that speed and edge, and then playing in stuff that doesn't call for it all the time, but then when you need to, you can.
Yeah. And I think that's a perfect thing. And I want to do the callback from earlier because we saw 9 Inch Nails not last weekend, but the weekend before.
Dude.
Getting to see Josh Freese again. And I was like, listen, the man is a genius. And I'm going to say that because 75% of the songs had no drums.
Yeah.
But the
Hell yeah.
songs he played on, and you don't realize, like, we went to the Sasanta tour last year. So getting to see him not only play with a perfect circle, but then him sit in with Primus and Pussifer and like them switching out. I don't think I said this yesterday to my dad. I was like, I've always respected him, but now I really respect what he's able to do. And I hate the whole Foo Fighters thing and like how there just seems to be like there was just like a, well, see ya.
That's
like,
so weird.
Exactly. And then he was like, no. He's like, we didn't plan this. And I mean, if you look back a couple years ago, like with the Slipknot, Sepultura, and Suicidal Tendencies, literally just rotated drummers. And I'm seeing lately, it just seems like in the last 5 years, a lot more drummers are leaving pretty tenured projects. And it's strange. Like, I don't know what to think of it. But like you said, that change of thinking, sometimes you're just like, well, you listen to Josh Freese play those 9 Inch Nails songs, and he's playing a thrash beat to the song, like thrash intensity, and I'm just going,
yep,
like, amazing. So glad we got
tour,
back to that.
That tour was so good.
Yeah,
like, holy shit! Just synthesizer party in the middle of the arena.
Yeah,
was like one of the coolest things. They did it so well.
It was excellent. It was my first time seeing them.
Oof.
So, and of course, for me, 60% of it was to see Josh Freese play again.
Yeah.
Well, my other half was, we missed the Tampa show because it was the same night as Dream Theater.
Oof. Tough.
Yeah. For me, that was tough. It was not tough for her. She was like,
right. She's like, okay, yeah, go hang out with your dudes.
Yeah. And the thing was, I had already had tickets to the Orlando show 2 days later. Like, I wasn't planning on going to both. And we picked up like 4 tickets for $20. And I went, and we were 8 rows from the stage. And I was like, well, I guess I'm seeing Dream Theater twice in a week.
That's funny.
And the whole time she was like, we're missing 9 Inch Nails. And I was like, I know. I said, don't do another tour. They were up in Jacksonville, obviously not last weekend, the one before. So it was a 4-hour drive, but we stayed up there for the weekend. We just made a whole weekend out of it. But again, that center stage synth to start, going back to the stage, the projection screen, spoiler alert to anybody who's watching this and then go see them, unlike anything I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Hands down.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw them at Red Rocks one time. I think it's my first time seeing them, like 2004 or something. I think Freese was playing, and at the end of, one of these raging songs, Vince up on the drum riser, just in his face, and then he just jumps in over the drums, takes him and Josh out. The whole thing went sprawling out. It was so sick.
What a way to end it. They're like, and night.
Yeah, no, that was like the 4th song. Like, they had to put it all back together.
So you got to see it the first time he was with them. Even like, just again, the man can play anything.
Yeah,
he has.
I've seen him with Devo.
Jeez,
I know, it's awesome.
We talk about these guys, and I'm bringing this up just because, like, when we started the show, like, we all gave like our top 5, like, who are the influential people like that we can think of drummer wise. And as of like a few days ago, I now have the opportunity to cross the last living one off the list, because when I think of it, I think of Neal Peart. And I'm going to say Peart. I can't say Peart. I know that's how you say it. I just can't.
My man, Neal P.
Mike Portnoy, Carter Beauford, Lars, and Stuart Copeland.
Nice.
And I watched the Drumeo video the other day, and I'm watching him, and I was like, man, it kills me that he never does his tours in the U.S. He doesn't do them. He hasn't done them in so long. They're always in the U.K. 2 hours later, coming to U.S., so I bought tickets. So now I'm like, within a year, I've seen basically 4 out of the 5. And I said, I can't even believe it. Like, I'm still like, I bought the meet and greet. Like, I'm going to get to shake the man's hand.
Nice.
So on that note, like, who are your guys? Because I know you talked about being in the thrash and the metal. So obviously it's changed over the years with the appreciation of Fish and everything else. Who were like the core ones that you can think of, and how has that shifted to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like Metallica, like I remember the first songs I brought to my drum teacher to like learn on drums, and it was like For Whom the Bell Tolls and like My Name is Mud and probably some Chili Peppers song, and some P-Funk song, because those were the first CDs I got, and Green Day, I had like Green Day cassette tapes, and So, those bands and that kind of music was the start for me. And then my second drum teacher was getting me more into like the prog stuff. So he showed me, I kind of found out about Dream Theater a little bit before that, but obviously, that's a big one. And then obviously Rush. And yeah, just those prog, like Opeth, like into the metal and like just wanting a lot of like double bass. Like I got double bass right away. It's like when I got my kit, I'm like, well, I need double bass pedals.
I gotta have it.
That's a prerequisite. So, yeah, those were all my, first influences. And then, yeah, like playing more funky stuff that was like tighter, less open hi-hat, double bass, stuff going on, but still kind of doing those Portnoy fills and those kinds of things. Guar's a big one for me.
Oh.
That drummer is one of the most unique styles that like nobody sounds like him. And he has all this really cool stuff. It's just such an interesting feel and like style. But yeah, like learning how to incorporate those extreme elements into like funk music and just more grooving stuff. I mean, like finding out what a pocket is and learning about like reggae and dub. So like John Brown's Body is a big thing for me. And Tommy Benedetti is like just one of the fiercest pocket like unmovable dudes. And so that I remember learning about reggae and dub, and with Dan was playing bass, and also at the time was kind of Dilla stuff was happening a lot. So bass players or anybody would be like doing this way behind the beat thing, and at the time I was thinking like, cool, I'll match with your weird time thing, like Hiatus Coyote or something like that. And he was like, no, you just stay right here as hard as you can, and the rest of us will shift this, stuff around. Like D'Angelo is a prime example, because everybody will be like, oh, do like a D'Angelo like behind the beat thing, and a lot of it's like he's just staying right on the thing, and everybody else is doing this little slight off thing, and that's what creates the weird, interesting feel there.
Exactly, yeah.
So once I like was learning about reggae and all that stuff, and just like dub, like the goal in dub and like old school reggae is like you just choose this pattern. It'll be like whatever you're doing, like one drop or steppers or whatever, and then there's like a interesting hi-hat pattern, interesting cross-stick pattern, and that's like the identity of the song.
Like that's
and
it.
So for 7 minutes, you just do that as hard as you can, and maybe there's like one or two styles of like a fill that happens when it's supposed to happen, but it's like the same every time. And it just is this meditative discipline playing, because it comes from like, more like the African music and Afro-Cuban music is like, it's like cyclical music. So it's just a pattern the whole time. Like that's what it was all before drum sets. So it wasn't like some drummer doing his cool thing. It's like the whole band, everybody on stage is one drum set, one rhythmic element of the whole thing. So like thinking about music that way for me is, more interesting than a lot of like, that's the cool guitar player, that's the great bass player, whatever. There's plenty of room for all that. But like when you're in that cyclical meditative stuff, it's just like you get so locked in, and that's like, that's why dance music is so great. It's a machine doing it, and it's hypnotic, and you're just in that thing for hours, like, so that's another side of that is like really, really interesting to me and like fascinating. And then especially when you bring that into like jam music, like if we have some open jam section in Dopapod, I'm probably going to start it with like playing this one pocket thing for as long as I can before feeling the need to change something to like, you got to let things cook and, and develop and stuff. And then, and those moments where like not much is happening, but like per person, are like, it's just so locked in, and you could tell everyone is just like, oh yeah, this is like, feels so good. We don't need to go anywhere. Like this is, and then it's like when somebody starts to solo, it's like, you find these on-ramps, right? Like hopefully you heard that now is the time,
Yeah.
Sometimes people, they'll jump in, they're like, oh, it's like, oh, nothing's happening. Got to get a solo right now. It's like, no, we were going.
We were cooking.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing?
That's crazy. We talk about, big experiences and, all these things that have influenced you, but I wanted to talk specifically about you guys getting to play the Bluebird Theater last month and what that meant to you guys, because, having, Rob from Equios on a few episodes ago, like when I heard that album and how it was produced and how the sound was, I can't imagine it's anything but an honor to be able to play there. So like, what was that experience like for you guys?
Yeah, that place rules. It's like, there's a couple venues kind of run by the same team, like the Ogden, the Gothic, the Bluebird. at Mission Ballroom. That one is like typically one of my favorites to see bands because it's like not too big. The sound is really, really good there. And even our friends who run the sound are just like, if I'm off of a big tour and I have an opportunity to run sound at this place, like I'm jumping in because it's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, super cool. Like I saw like Symphony X there, when I was a kid. Like
nobody brings up Symphony X.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. King of Terrors? Come on. Like,
yeah, man.
The Odyssey stuff. Oh my God. I could go on for that stuff.
Totally.
It doesn't get brought up enough, but I'll let you finish before I nerd out on that one.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was the stuff. It was like that in Dream Theater. It's like we would just sit in the car and smoke weed and count. And like, you're like, what is it? What is it? No. Oh no. That King Crimson, all that, so much counting. Tool, so great. But anyways, Bluebird's rad. Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Bluebird's great place, and we know the guys who kind of run the place and buy the shows and stuff. And it was January 3rd, which the holidays landed on really weird, awkward days of the week this year. It was like Christmas and New Year's, like Wednesday, Thursday. So they were like, look, no national band is going to want to take this date because they either just got off their New Year's or just got off tour or whatever. But it's a great day for a local to try and like throw a big shebang before everybody goes back to start their new year of work or whatever. And also because it was like 3 days after New Year's Eve, like it really worked. If it was like 2 days, if New Year's Eve was like Thursday, it would have been questionable. But because it was Wednesday, it was like, I was like, I think this can work. So, and it went really great. We got our friends Liquid Light to do the lights and stuff, and they do like that old oil kind of, light show thing, like old school Grateful Dead shit, and massive projectors. So they like blew up the whole, all the walls in the place.
Wild.
And with our buddies Rado, it was a good one.
That's awesome. And we talk about the smaller venues don't get enough love, but they really should.
Yeah.
There's something about that intimate experience and having the sound be the right level, because it has to be the right level. Outside, it doesn't have to be the right level. It has to be loud. Let's be honest here. I'll tell you this. After the 9 Inch Nails show, I couldn't hear for like 2 days, but it was purposeful. It was where it needed to be. But those smaller venues can't drown everything out. Like it has to be so perfect. So seeing that you guys got to play there was a super cool thing. If I was in Colorado, I definitely would have been there because I just need to experience that once. Between that and Red Rocks, which I still haven't been to. So that's
also, make sure to check out Mission Ballroom. It is quickly become one of my favorite venues in the country. I do bartend there every once in a while, which is fun, but it is one of the cooler venues. It's just, it's just so modern and new. They just did everything right. There's not a bad seat in the house. If you play there, like all the doors open wide to unload your trucks and, just roll everything on. It's not like some old building with 3 flights of stairs and like a half a green room. Like the green room is bigger than like, most people's houses. It's like, it's wild.
That sounds crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So we had mentioned it, before we got started, you guys did the Rally Around the Family show last weekend or last weekend, the weekend before, I believe.
Whatever day that.
Talk about that experience and how that came together. Because obviously the Rage Against the Machine, the Radiohead, the different elements that came into that kind of project a similar message, I think is the best way I'm trying to say.
And there was also a Black Sabbath cover band on there too. So it's right in line. Yeah, we just, I've been playing with those guys, the Rally Around the Family guys, a bunch of local Denver musicians, and the bass player and the singer I think, run it most of the time. The guitar player has since moved to Puerto Rico or something, so sometimes he can make it back. But other than that, we have this other guy who lives, Jonah, who lives around town, and he's great. So, yeah, I mean, it is the most fun music to play on drums. Like, it's funk, it's hip-hop, it's metal, it's rock. Like, it's just exciting, but it's also, like, there's really cool stuff that I never really thought about in some of the compositions, too. Like, it's one of these, like, 311 style, like, writing where the bass drum and the bass guitar are, like, usually, like, super locked. Like, they have this very distinct pattern. But more than that, there's, like, Maggie's Farm is one of my favorites, where if you listen to the drum beat in the beginning over the riff, it's like there's this just huge crash on 3 and 4 with, like, no snare. And it doesn't really go with anything else in the riff. But then at the end of the song, they play the riff again, super slowed down. And then after 2 times of the super slowed down, all the other instruments go this big 3, 4, boom. And so it's like, it was like foreshadowing from the beginning of the song. And you're like, what the hell is this? And then you wait 5 minutes and then there it is. And they just have all these clever little things like that throughout their music. That's just like, if you think about it and like really try to recreate it, there's these fun puzzles, that it's just like super intentional. Like producer was like, do this, or I don't know how they came out with it, but just really good stuff.
It's actually played backwards. Like that was supposed to be the end of the song, not the beginning of the song.
Yeah, right. But yeah, and yeah, what a selection of music to play in these times,
Yeah.
Like last year we did it in late January. It's the Rage band and the Radiohead band, and that was post inauguration, I guess. And now we're a year in, and certain things were going on a week ago or 2 weeks ago. That's shit's heavy, and this is the machine they were talking about for sure.
Yeah. Amazing. You think about, I always think about this, like when I hear Queen or Led Zeppelin, I go, do you think that they knew 40, 50 years ago that their music would be as iconic? Like, do you think there was even a grasp of that? And you look at some of the Rage Against the Machine stuff and you go, yeah, they knew, like they saw it coming. Like it wasn't.
Yeah. So again, writing songs that you cannot deny their message and their story. It's like, they're not making it up, it's like,
no, it's right there in front of you.
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah, that had to be talked about. Like we had to bring it up. Totally. And I know normally we don't broach that subject, but
sure.
I think it was appropriate given that it made sense and it was relevant. So
totally. It's just a good thing that music on, we'll call it a certain side, is exciting. You know what I mean? Like, can't say that much for other sides.
Kid Rock. I did it. Again, if anybody catches that and gives me flack, come on.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, come on. Last question. I think we'll leave it at that. New Photon. It sounded like you were talking about some new Photon music or doing something in the studio. So do we have something coming out that we can talk about? Or
we're getting into the studio at the end of this month. And we're basically like, we have a lot of music that we just haven't put on tape at all. So it's going to be a long process to kind of get to a release, because we also sort of sorted our songs out into different records, different projects.
Yeah.
We have one that's the Polar Vortex Suite, which is like, 7 or 8 songs. Then there's like, what is it? The Friendship Suite and all these different things. So, and all these songs have come to fruition over the years. Some are still yet to be written. So it's going to be an interesting puzzle to make like a cohesive couple of records and like, get it out in a way that sort of makes sense. But, like I said, there's all these stories, there's all this lore. It's all like, there's a lot of bigger zoom out stories to all this stuff. So we have to present it in that way. And this is kind of Jimmy's first time sort of being the band leader in this format. And we haven't, the records that are out so far are just on Color Red, which is like a pretty simple recording setup. Now and that was even when we were essentially a trio. Now we're more core, a 4-piece with guitar. So this will be the first time we're really like hitting a real studio with this project and sorting out how to do it, which is going to be really interesting too, because, you saw the show. Sometimes it's like, we're not like a jam band in that way where like you jam and whatever type 2 and just goes to any old thing or whatever, like we're not playing like a reggae beat inside of the jazz fusion song, but the soloist may tell a very long story. So it might just be a really long open improv section, So trying to navigate how to do that in the studio setting, because sometimes you could be like, all right, we're just going to do 32 bars. And it's like, feels restrictive. And like, then you're like, cool, I'm just going to play 32 bars. And it's like, I didn't even start talking because I was thinking about the number of bars.
Side one of Vinyl is one song. You're like,
yeah,
okay.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do here. Yeah.
Be like, side 2 is nothing. Like we gave you a 45-minute song. I love that. And like, I feel like my brain is mashing 2 together, but do you guys have a projector set up when you were playing?
So that was just the brewery. They have that, and they, they'll ask us what we want to play, and we love playing Mobile Suit Gundam. One of our songs is called Gundam Fling, and it's kind of based on some Mobile Suit stuff. Definitely anime nerds. And then the other one that I played was called
Robot Carnival.
Yeah. So which was like crazy.
So we left the show after seeing you guys, went home and watched the whole thing. That's some
There's some shit
trippy
in there.
stuff.
That's like 82 or something. It's like so old.
Yeah, it was so old.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, God, I don't want to say this and sound dumb, but I was like, I'm pretty sure it was them with Robot Carnival because that's coming home and literally finding it on the internet and watching it and just going, what the heck is going on?
Totally.
Because it fit the music so well.
There were some times that were crazy. I remember like when solo ended or like something significant happened, like when the nuke went off in the background. And I was just like, yeah, because I get to watch it. I'm like, yes.
You're like, oh, okay. I mean, that was perfect. Well, Fro, Neal, Evans,
My man.
now I don't know what to call you now. I'm just going to make up my own. Listen, nobody calls me Matt anymore. You know, when you have a last name like Quiggins, people just come up with their stuff. And my
That's
rap
good.
producer name is Quiggy Smalls. So we just
Dude,
keep that
Quiggy
on the.
Smalls. Double G. Let's go.
So I'm going to leave this part for you just to kind of tell everybody what's going on. Obviously, you just gave us all the Photon news, but for anybody who's in the Colorado area or, you know, surrounding area, like, is there any shows coming up, anything you're doing that you want people to come out and see?
We have a run in Colorado starting March 20th. So it's March 20th in Winter Park, first in Breckenridge.
Nice.
And then the next day we're in Frisco at like just like a brewery thing. But then on the 26th, we're opening for Le Special in Frisco at the 10 Mile Music Hall. And then after that, we have 2 nights in Steamboat at the Old Town Pub.
Nice.
And then right after that, we have April 10th opening for Ghost Note and Motet at Cervantes. Got anything else?
God, I need to come to Colorado.
We got a bunch of North Carolina stuff. The Shikori Grassroots Music Festival is like early June, mid-June, something like that. And then Asheville right before that, early May. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, the Copeland show is like first week of June. Like I bought tickets like hours after they went on sale and they were halfway gone. I was like, oh, God.
But yeah.
So,
nice.
Well,
awesome, man.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Just stick around a few minutes afterwards and we'll get going. But just want to shout out Jerseys for Drummers. I always wear this for every show. I tend to wear it to any concert I go to just because I have such an appreciation. There's only 2 of these in the world, and that to me is one of the coolest things ever. Guy makes jerseys for Portnoy, Beaufort. Like, the list of names goes on and on. Alex Petropoulos of Pigeons.
Damn, I need one of those.
Yeah, I'll send you the info afterwards. He's a good
Sweet.
dude.
Hell
And I always shout out May Music, MAE. It's down in South Florida. I met these amazing people right before the Dream Theater show, and they gave me an extra ticket to their front row seats. So can't ever not thank them enough. But being a family-owned music store and how we talk about how important those are, really love those guys. So that's all I got for that. Fro, thanks again, man. I really appreciate you, everybody.
Thanks a lot,
have
man.
a great night.
Thanks, dude.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe to the DrumQuig Podcast. Thank you so much.